Welcome back to another episode of Open RCT2 Tutorials. In this video, I'm going to give you a tour of this micro park called Lost Mountain. Now, I built this for one of Dirklig's contests on his Discord server, and the goal was to create a mine train coaster. So here you can see the map isn't terribly large. It's just a little western town I built with a few rides, including the mine train coaster, and a little town at the bottom. So we can delve into this and take a look. So here is the town right here, and we have a nice little church, and then next to it you can see that there is the Supply Co. for Lost Mountain, and then we have a few of the normal scenery objects like the general store, and actually inside there's a maze hidden in there as well as the restroom, and I think I made a kiosk invisible right there, and then there's some food in the actual entrance all hidden in these buildings, so I thought that was a nice way to kind of make it all blend in. And over here we can see the signage for the Lost Mountain Mine Ride, and then next to it we have Lusty Lil's Hotel and Saloon with some shops inside, and this actually pays homage to the Lusty Lil's Palace Theater that's at Cedar Point. Well, formerly called that, now they just call it the Palace Theater. And then as we move on, we can see a few other ride signs here. We have Ghost Train, which is the mine train coaster. And then over here we have a little gallows to give it that Wild West feel. And oh, here's the ghost train coming around the bend to the lift hill. And then over to the left we have another sign for Mine Shaft. Here's another view, and that's another ride we'll see in a bit. But let's take a ride on Ghost Train. We have a very plain station. I didn't spend much time on it. But the train comes around this little turn and enters the lift hill to go up Lost Mountain. And as it climbs this very tall lift hill, for some reason I decided to cover certain sections to kind of give it an old mine feel. And on the top there is the mine shaft building with a little chimney and all of that. And then the train comes around here and does a little loop around and then comes out of this tunnel for the main drop into a big swooping turn, and then we see it travel up to the back side of the mountain here. It goes through a little brake run to slow it down for this next section as it goes under the mountain again, and it comes out on this side where there's a steep drop and some rickety track here, making guests think they're gonna fall to their death, and then it goes back under the mountain to another brake run. And then here we have a nice big swooping drop around some mine-themed buildings, and then a nice slow kind of turn here to take it all in before we dive back down under itself and kind of towards the town for a little airtime. And then the final brake run, or I guess final mid-course brake run, little trick track here, loops back around and then comes in here for some airtime hills, and then it dives down into this kind of structure here, and then through this little desert section, another airtime hill, and then it enters inside the mountain where the brake run is, and it pops out here, right where I have some transfer track that would go back into the mountain. Even though you can't see the transfer track, I built it anyway, and that is the ghost train. And of course everyone's favorite part, I think, is that track on the cliffside right there. But now let's take a look inside the mine shaft building at the top right here. As you can see, the Lost Mountain Mine Ride goes through the inside right there. You can see right there, there's a few little windows where little kind of coal cars or mine cars come in there, and then the elevator would come up and deliver the coal and drop them in those carts as they pass by. So let's see if we can see, here's an elevator coming up, the doors open, and then it drops down after a moment. So it's kind of like a Tower of Terror type ride, and here's the other shaft coming up, doors open, and then it drops. So basically what's happening here is underground in the mountain, I have this little entrance station here where the guests board the elevators, and then it goes up the shaft here. I used a bit of trickery to have each of these elevator shafts operating independently of each other, even though it's the same ride with the same entrance. And once it gets to the top, the doors will open, and then it drops down back to the station. Here, we'll watch this one. The doors open here for a moment, and then it drops down to the station, but then it actually drops again, and the guests actually exit lower than where they started. So I thought this was just a fun little take on the Tower of Terror ride, where guests go up to the top, going to speed it up now. But then when they drop down, all of a sudden they think they're at the station, but really the doors close again and it drops one more time and they actually exit in a different location. So I thought that kind of gave it more of a mine shaft feel, kind of a haunted mine shaft. So something really fun. Maybe I'll do a tutorial for that later. But now let's move on to the final coaster, the Lost Mountain Mine Ride. And here, guests board their little coal cars, and they come out and enter another long lift hill up to the top of the mountain. And I kind of built this little timber structure over the lift hill just to kind of give it a fun mining theme. And then as we get to the top, the coal cars kind of go past the elevator shaft as we saw before, and then they come out of the mountain and they continue their way slowly down to the bottom, meandering around. And then guests enter the mountain for a steep drop where they quickly brake, and then they come out here for this sharp turn over this cliffside. Kind of fun there. And then they enter again, and you can see here the cars actually have a holding brake, and then they drop down again into some brakes. So this is now inside the mountain. They pop out here, and they kind of meander around through lots of tunnels here going in and out of the mountain. And I think inside here I hid a little helix, so some kind of track trickery here. They go through the helix, pop out again, go through lots of tunnels, popping in and out. And then eventually they make their way down here. I forgot where they go. It's quite the maze of track here. So they careen here around this curve, a little mining scene, and then they come down here for the finale as they slowly have lots of turns left and right all the way down to the bottom. So just tried to make it kind of a gentle-ish ride with a few little thrills there. So that's the Lost Mountain Mine Ride. Basically, this micro park has the two coasters, the maze inside of the general store, and then the mine shaft drop ride inside of the mountain. This entire park, though, was inspired by a larger park that I've been working on for quite some time called Applewood. So I would love to share this with you sometime in the near future. I've actually been working on this Applewood park for over 20 years. I think I started it sometime in 2004 when RCT2 first came out. So hopefully that will be finished eventually. Now let's take Ghost Train for one more spin. And if you'd like to download the park and take a look yourself, the link is in the video description below. And if you enjoyed this park tour of Lost Mountain, please give the video a like. It really helps out the channel. And as always, make sure to subscribe, because next time, well, actually, I'll just wait until the ride's over, and then I'll let you know what's coming up next time. And there you have it. So make sure to subscribe, because next time I'm going to show you how to build your very own zipper ride. So stay tuned for more.